Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the old Marvel Legends Sentinel Build-A-Figure. I've kind of reviewed this guy before in a comparative review with the other Sentinel that came out in the Marvel Universe line, but I keep getting people requesting me to review this guy again by himself. I thought I did before, but I keep getting the requests, so here's another review of him. Maybe this will be helpful for you. This is maybe one of my, well, it's not maybe, it is one of my, maybe my favorite Build-A-Figure ever, just because it's a Sentinel and it's kind of a significant character for the X-Men, and it's just so cool looking. It's a very appealing figure. He stands, let's say, just about 30 centimeters to there, plus another 10, so about 40 centimeters tall, which makes him 12, about 14 inches tall, so good size to him. And he does technically have his tentacles, which are really the same thing as the Omega Red figure, but that's what they are. Sometimes they have really nice silver paint on them, as you can see right there. It looks kind of cool. Then sometimes you don't get much silver at all, like right there. Or on this one, it's much darker in general. So you can kind of hunt and look around for Omega Reds, or just having these floating around on eBay to find a pair that matches. No big deal though. They are super bendable, soft plastic. Toy Biz did a really good job with these tentacles. You don't often get bendy things that work well and that don't get all gummy and junky, and these both work very well. It has a little peg right here, and that goes in the palm of his hand, like that. Takes a little bit of force, but there you go. You can pose him holding up a figure relatively easily. You might need a support depending on the figure though. So this guy has a really cool paint job. He's got all of these nice metallic purples and blues with a couple different shades of dry brushing on there. They painted the core really nicely. It looks really cool. And then we have the more silvery, gray, bronzy, like under areas that don't have the armor plating. Very cool looking all around. I mean, technically it's a sloppy paint job, but it works for this figure. I'm happy with it. You can see lots of scuffs and scrapes and stuff. And it really accentuates the sculpt. Like you can see kind of like this checkerboard pattern back here, and then just lots of little details throughout. Very appealing figure, I think. Now let's look at the articulation. Now I'm not 100% sure on some of these just because I can't get to them, but I'll tell you how they work, and then it doesn't really matter what makes them work. So the head feels like it's on a ball peg. It can lean forward and back, a little bit side to side, and then of course we get the rotation. And I really do like that head sculpt, by the way. For the shoulders, we have the shoulder pads that are really soft plastic, but not gummy, so that's good. They have a hinge there so it doesn't get in the way. Then we have a standard Marvel Legends ball hinge shoulder. It can get a little stiff. These guys are pretty old, but it's perfectly functional with our bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow, not the best range of motion. But it's a Sentinel, so it doesn't really have to be in super crazy poses. For the wrist, I believe it's just a ball peg, maybe a double ball peg, that lets the hand move around in various ways. It would be nice if you could get that in more of an Iron Man pose, bringing this hand up like this way, but it's not too bad, and the things come out at an angle anyway, so that's alright. The thumb is on its own hinge, each finger is on its own hinge also, so that's kind of cool. For the torso, we have, I think, a double ball peg. It lets the torso spin and lean. Might be just a single, but I'm not entirely sure. But you can lean from side to side really well. Goes pretty far back, goes pretty far forward, and of course rotates. And then we have a single ball peg, I believe, for the lower torso, so you can swivel. And it does lean a little bit, but I think it's really not supposed to, so I think it's technically just a peg, not a ball peg, but it does have some play in it. For the hips, we have our standard T-jointed hips. This piece will get in the way though, so you're going to have to bring the leg out at an angle just a little bit, but it's not too bad. Full range of motion on those. Be careful though, when you have a big figure, you're putting a lot of force on those joints, so make sure you don't break anything. We have a thigh swivel, standard thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. Not the best range of motion, but again, it's a Sentinel, so you should be just fine with that. And for the ankles, I think they're just like the wrists with a single ball peg, maybe a double ball peg. Not a whole lot of range of motion though due to the sculpt. He's mostly going to be standing there or flying in a very straight pose anyway, so it's not really a big deal. I think it's more than worth picking up at least one of these guys if you're a Marvel Legends collector. He's kind of like the original awesome Build-A-Figure, and since there haven't been too many awesome ones since then, I'm gonna have to say I recommend you pick him up. And just so that you guys can see the size, because apparently some people don't like just the ruler measurements, here's the Series 3 Wolverine. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, move the camera back a little bit so you can see. I'll stand Wolverine right there. He only comes up to just past the knee. So this is a very large Build-A-Figure. I definitely recommend you guys at least track one of them down for your collections. You're gonna be happy you did. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.